Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Okay, great. So today, we're going to be tackling something that I know can be a bit,
A bit daunting.
yeah, database benchmarking.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we're not jumping right into running tests.
Oh, no. We're going way, way back to the very beginning.
Exactly. Before you even think about opening up a benchmarking tool, there's a whole lot of prep work that needs to happen. And I know our listeners already know their way around relational databases.
Right.
But we're going to turn you into benchmarking pros.
Absolutely.
So to make this super clear, we're going to break it down into 5 crucial steps.
5 key things you got to nail down before you even think about collecting data.
Perfect. So step 1, let's start with the foundation.
It's like building a house. You don't just start laying bricks, right?
You need a blueprint.
Exactly. Benchmarking without a clear plan is just going to lead to chaos.
So, okay, what does a good benchmarking blueprint look like?
It all starts with a crystal clear mission statement. Think of this as your North Star for the entire process.
Okay, a North Star, I like that. But what does that actually mean? Like, what questions should this statement answer?
Well, first off, it needs to define what you're actually testing. Are you comparing different database systems? Are you trying out new hardware? Or are you just trying to fine-tune your current setup?
Right, because each of those is going to have a totally different approach.
Exactly. Then you got to figure out what specific metrics matter the most to you. Is it transactions per second, query response times, cost efficiency?
It's about knowing what success looks like.
Right, exactly. And finally, and this is important, you got to be realistic about your constraints. What's your budget? How much time do you have? What hardware is available?
So it's kind of like turning this vague idea of, I want to make my database better into something a lot more concrete and measurable.
Precisely. A solid mission statement forces you to think through those crucial details up front, so you're not wasting time with, meaningless results.
Yeah. Or results that don't even answer the right questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Mission statement check. Now on to step 2, database prep and configuration. I know it can be tempting to just stick with those default settings.
Oh, I know. It's so easy just to go with what's already there, but it's almost guaranteed to give you misleading results.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Think of it like this. Even the fastest car in the world is not going to perform well on a dirt road, right?
Right. It needs the right environment to really shine.
Exactly. Your database is the same way. It needs to be optimized for that benchmarking track.
Okay, so where do we even begin? What are the things we need to be looking at?
So first up are those OS level settings, things like your file system, your network configurations, even those prerequisite packages can have an impact.
Right.
And then you got to dive into those database configuration parameters.
Okay, like what kind of things?
Oh, memory allocation, how many concurrent sessions you allow, your logging settings. These all need some careful thought.
Yeah. And it sounds like we need to look beyond just the database server itself.
Oh, absolutely. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a poorly configured SAN or even a network switch upgrade completely throw off the results.
Wow, so the whole ecosystem matters.
It's all connected.
Okay, so how do we find that balance between optimizing for the benchmark, but also keeping things, realistic?
The key is to mimic your real-world usage as closely as possible. Don't go for these crazy optimizations that you wouldn't actually use in production.
Right. Because otherwise, the results aren't really going to help you, are they?
Nope. The goal is to see how your database performs under your specific workload, not some idealized scenario.
Gotcha. Okay, mission statement done, database is prepped. Let's talk timelines. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to, rush a benchmark?
Oh, countless times. And it never ends well. You're just setting yourself up for inaccurate results and a whole lot of stress.
So how do we avoid that trap?
By creating a realistic timeline from the get-go. And that means factoring in every single step.
Like what?
Well, first, you got to acquire the hardware, get it all set up. Then there's the data loading, especially for those large databases.
Oh, yeah, that can take ages.
And this is the one everyone forgets time for troubleshooting. Because things will go wrong.
Especially if you're testing out new technologies or really complex configurations.
Exactly. Rushing the timeline just leads to more problems down the line.
It's better to be patient and get it right.
Absolutely.
So any advice on making that data loading process a bit more, efficient? Especially with those massive databases.
One technique I like is splitting the data loading into smaller chunks. Instead of trying to do it all at once.
Right. Break it down into manageable pieces.
Exactly. It can save you a ton of time in the long run.
Okay, awesome. So we've got our mission defined, our database is prepped, and we've got a realistic timeline. What's next?
Now we need to talk about the size of your benchmark database. How much data should you actually be testing with? It's all about scale and how to capture that real-world workload. And I've got some stories about what happens when you get that wrong.
Oh, I bet you do.
But we'll save those for next time.
Welcome back to our deep dive into database benchmarking preparation. Last time, we talked about defining your mission, prepping the database, setting a realistic timeline, and figuring out the right scale and workload for your tests.
We laid a solid foundation, but now we need to talk about those sneaky, distorting factors, those unexpected gremlins that can throw a wrench into even the most carefully planned benchmark.
Right, because even with all the prep work, things can still go sideways. What are some common culprits we should be on the lookout for?
One of the biggest ones is external traffic. If you're running your benchmark on a shared system, any other activity happening on that system can impact your results.
So it's like trying to time a runner while a bunch of people are randomly crossing the track.
Exactly. You're not going to get an accurate measurement of the runner's speed. The same goes for your database. To get clean results, you need to isolate your benchmarking environment as much as possible.
So how do we do that? Should we just unplug the server from the network?
Well, that might be a bit extreme, but you definitely want to minimize any unnecessary traffic. Disable any services or applications that aren't directly involved in the benchmark. And if you're running on a virtual machine, make sure it has dedicated resources and isn't competing with other VMs for CPU, memory, or network bandwidth.
It's about creating a controlled environment where the only thing happening is your benchmark. Now, you mentioned other activity on the system. What about things like scheduled tasks or background processes? Could those cause problems?
Absolutely. Backups, system updates, even routine maintenance tasks can all skew your results. Make sure to disable or reschedule any tasks that could interfere with your benchmark.
It sounds like we need to be meticulous about combing through the system and making sure everything is as quiet as possible. Are there any other sneaky culprits we should be aware of?
Environmental factors can also play a role. Temperature, humidity, even power fluctuations can impact system performance. If possible, run your benchmarks in a controlled environment where these factors are stable.
So it's not just about what's happening inside the server. We need to consider the external environment as well.
Right. It's all about minimizing variability and creating a level playing field for your tests. Now, even with all these precautions, there's still a chance that something unexpected could happen. That's why it's crucial to monitor everything during your benchmark.
What kind of things should we be monitoring?
Don't just focus on database metrics like query response times and transaction throughput. Keep an eye on system-level metrics as well. CPU utilization, memory usage, disk I/O, network traffic.
It's about looking for any unusual spikes or dips that could indicate a problem.
Exactly. And if you do see something out of the ordinary, don't just ignore it, investigate. It could be a sign of a distorting factor that you need to address.
So we need to be detectives, constantly looking for clues that could explain unexpected results. Now, speaking of unexpected results, let's talk about interpreting the data once our benchmark is complete. Any tips on making sense of all those numbers?
First, always compare your results to your baseline. What were you hoping to achieve with this benchmark? Did you see the improvements you expected? If not, why not?
So it's not just about looking at the raw numbers. It's about understanding what those numbers mean in the context of your goals.
Right. And don't be afraid to dig deeper into the data. Look for patterns and trends. Try to isolate the factors that are contributing to the results you're seeing.
I imagine visualizations can be helpful here. A graph can often tell a story more effectively than a table of numbers.
Absolutely. Use charts, graphs, dashboards, whatever helps you visualize the data and identify key insights.
And of course, documentation is crucial. We need to capture all the details of our benchmarking process, the configuration, the workload, the results, so we can reproduce the tests and track our progress over time.
Documentation is often overlooked, but it's essential for ensuring that your benchmarks are repeatable and meaningful. Now, even with the most careful planning and execution, sometimes those aha moments come from unexpected places. Those times when you stumble upon a strange result that leads you down a rabbit hole of investigation.
I love those moments. It's like solving a mystery.
Exactly. I once spent days trying to figure out why a particular query was performing so poorly during a benchmark. I checked the query plan, I optimized the indexes, I even tweaked the database configuration. Nothing seemed to help.
So what was the culprit?
It turned out to be a faulty network cable. It was causing intermittent packet loss, which was wreaking havoc on the query performance.
Wow, I never would have guessed that. It just goes to show that even the smallest details can have a huge impact.
Absolutely. And it's a good reminder to stay curious and persistent when troubleshooting benchmarking issues. Sometimes the answer is hiding in the most unexpected places.
Welcome back. For the final part of our deep dive into benchmarking prep, we've covered a ton, from that all-important mission statement to those pesky gremlins, the distorting factors.
We've built a really solid framework, but there are a couple more things to consider before you hit go on those benchmarks.
Okay, let's get into it. In part 2, we talked about isolating your environment. But what if your database is, in the cloud?
Ah, yes. Cloud environments, they definitely add another layer of complexity. But the basic principles, they still apply. You want to minimize those external influences as much as possible.
So how do we do that, practically speaking?
First off, you got to pick the right cloud instance for your benchmark. Don't skimp on resources. Make sure it has enough CPU, memory, storage to handle that workload without getting bogged down.
It's like making sure you have a powerful enough engine in your race car.
Exactly. And then network configuration is key. Latency can really make a difference in the cloud, so go for an instance with low latency and maybe even a dedicated network connection just for your tests.
So even in a shared cloud, we're still going for that isolation. What about other cloud services that might be running?
Yeah, it's smart to disable any services you don't absolutely need. Things that could be using resources or generating traffic, like monitoring agents, logging, even security tools if they're not essential for the benchmark.
Got to clear that track so our race car can really fly. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about those results. You mentioned comparing to a baseline earlier. How do we even establish a good baseline?
A solid baseline represents your system before you make any changes or optimizations. It's that starting point to measure your progress.
So if we're testing a new configuration, our baseline is the performance under the old configuration.
Exactly. Run your benchmark with the current setup, capture all those metrics, document everything. That gives you a clearer picture of where you're starting from.
And then once we've made the changes, run it again and compare, like timing your race car before and after a tune-up.
Exactly. The baseline lets you see the impact of your changes. Did your optimizations really make a difference?
Makes sense. Now, benchmarking isn't just a one-time thing, right?
Oh, no. It's an ongoing process.
So we shouldn't just run one benchmark and call it good.
Definitely not. As you tweak your system, you want to benchmark regularly to see how performance changes over time. You'll spot trends, catch potential problems early, and make sure your system is always running at its best.
Keep that race car in top shape with regular checkups. Speaking of maintenance, how can we use benchmarking to make better decisions about our databases in the long run?
Benchmarking gives you real data to make informed choices, choosing the right hardware, optimizing your configuration, even deciding where you need more resources.
It's like a roadmap based on actual data.
Exactly. And it's not just for techie decisions. You can use this data to justify budgets, show stakeholders the value of your work, even make a case for new technologies.
Wow, so it's powerful stuff.
Absolutely. And it's only going to become more important as databases get bigger and more complex. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this.
Okay, I'm listening.
Remember, benchmarking is about more than just the numbers themselves. It's about understanding what's behind them. Why is your system behaving this way? Where are the bottlenecks? How can you improve?
It's about using data to tell a story, to make real improvements.
Exactly. So as you go on your benchmarking journey, keep the big picture in mind. Use those insights to make smart decisions, optimize your systems, and ultimately give your users the best possible experience.
Love that. And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into database benchmarking preparation. We talked about your mission, prepping your database, setting those realistic timelines, the right scale and workload, spotting those sneaky distorting factors, and making sense of your results.
We covered the technical side, the practical stuff, and the big picture value of benchmarking.
Hopefully you're feeling ready to tackle your next project. But remember, there's always more to learn. Keep experimenting, keep asking questions, keep pushing those boundaries. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to The Deep Dive for more deep dives into all things data. Thanks for joining us.